Hello guys, it's me, Stark. Okay, we're finally recording. I saw this topic on Reddit about a guy complaining about facing off a Teuton tower rush. Teutons are a very popular civilization to make this strategy work. So here in color 5 we see Puchito playing as the Teutons. Both players are around 1k1 elo, as you can see here from the dashboard. And the thing is, Teutons actually can garrison up to 10 units on their towers, and this means that the Teuton tower will have more damage output than a regular tower. So a Teuton player can make up a tower and garrison more than 5 villagers on it. 6, 7, 8. And because of that, this tower will actually deliver more damage towards their opponent's tower. So in a 1v1, the Teuton tower will always beat the enemy tower. For that reason, they are very popular to make this strategy work. Not only that, but their farms are also cheaper, so making an economy on the back of your Trush is also easier, and you don't need to make any crazy uptime to go for the Teuton Trush. If you want to Trush with like Koreans, it wouldn't be recommended that you go like population 21 to feudal age. You want to hit your opponent fast. But when you are Teuton, it's fine to go for like population 20, 21. It's not a big mistake going for a larger population, because you're just going to send at least 7 to 8 villagers ahead. And for that reason, Teuton Trush is very powerful. Not only that, but the Teuton civilization has some weakness. For example, their cavalry lacks husbandry, so it's very fragile and vulnerable against cav archers. And for that reason, you want to make the Teuton game something a bit more static. You don't want to face like a Hun player and allow him to mass cav archers and while you were trying to fight him. So Teutons will often go towards siege play, monk play, tower play. These are great plays for the civilization, and it will actually help with the lack of mobility from your civilization. Despite having a great paladin on melee combat, the higher you go on the elo, more fragile you are towards when facing off cav archer civilizations. Here we can see the Teuton build, very simple one. He puts 3 villagers on the wood, made a lot on the food, and now, right close to clicking up to the feudal age, he makes a mining camp. This guy is 1k1, so we are not going to judge small or minor mistakes like eating the ship far away from the town center, the mining camp placement not so close to the stone. So there are a lot of small improvements that could be done here on this guy's gameplay, but he's 1k1 and he's focusing on the essential part of the game, the strategy, and that is important. So Puchito, best luck for you, my friend. You're probably gonna improve a lot and your gameplay is solid because you have a plan. And this, after all guys, is a strategy game. Especially when you are playing ranked, you're probably playing a guy with a similar elo than you are. And for that reason, it means that you are probably gonna make mistakes that the guy will probably commit as well. So you are both committing similar mistakes in any elo, okay? So that's a must. So if you focus on the fundamentals, you are going to be fine. Snonk scouted out the tower rush, and he soon realized that the Teuton had 8 views forward, and he was coming here to make a Teuton Trush. I'd say that there is a big missed opportunity here. And what is this big missed opportunity? The view fight. I think that the biggest point of fighting a tower push is that if you can send your villagers to fight against the enemy, you can actually win. On this scenario specifically, the Lithuanian also had a barracks, so upon seeing the Teuton, what I would suggest for him to do, instead of doing this defensive tower, was sending 8 or even more villagers of his own to fight against the Teuton before he may start making towers. That would be my suggestion, and of course he could start to add a few spearmen since he already had a barracks, or even militia. It doesn't matter, just one more unit to make up his numbers for the view fight. So the best time to stop the tower rush is before the Teuton can make his first tower. But a big mistake happens here, and Snonk is doing several wrong things here when defending the Trush. The first one is, he knows he's about to be trushed, and he's still insisting, or he's still investing here into army, into stables. I'm gonna spoil something here. No, my friend, you are not gonna be able to make like 6 or 7 scouts and counter-attack the Teuton properly. The reason is the Teuton is gonna force himself up on your base, and it will be very difficult to get fights and engage into fights here versus him. The Teuton is also building towers close from each other, so it means it becomes very hard for melee units such as infantry and scouts to hit and kill these villagers because they were always going to be under the protection of towers. Honestly, I'd say that having both archers or skirmishers would be a better option here. Skirmishers can resist a bit more to the arrow fire, so they can try to go there and force the opponent's villagers back. Especially when you grow in numbers, you can actually make a living barrier here that will deny this guy from keep building the towers and advancing with them. Or it will at least slow down because he won't be able to walk larger distances. He will have to build towers very close one from each other. For example, look at this tower. If he had a good army of skirmishers already behind, he could start denying the vills. The other thing that I found that Snonk's doing wrong here, apart from the scouts, look at this. He's fighting under the towers. So what Puchito could do here is just placing his weak vills on his towers, and of course, if the fights happens under the enemy towers, you are always going to lose more HP. So that's another big mistake here for Mr. Snonk. So going for the stable, and the other one is this initial tower. Don't do this initial tower. Think about it. Think about your map. Look at of what Snonk is doing. He's doing a good job here because he's walled. He walled the top side, so the Teuton cannot go around. The problem is he's out of wood. How could he be collecting wood on this stage? I will answer you with a second lumber camp. He could make like a second lumber camp on another wood line. I would go for the safest one if he wanted to, or he could just go for this one. It would be fine. But the thing is, since he invested resources into the stable, he is starting to have idle time. Look at this guy's idle time. Puchito has 1 and 30 minutes of idle time. This is equivalent of 3 less villagers for him, while Snonk has 1 minute of idle time, which is equivalent of 2 less villagers. So despite having killing an enemy vill, he is having way too much time without producing villagers on his TC. Part of this problem will just increase because he doesn't have a minimum amount of farms to keep the TC producing villagers. Which is this minimum number? 6 vills. So as long as you have the berries, it's fine. But as soon as you have no more berries, you should have at least 6 farmers and protected from the enemy towers so that those farmers could actually stop the enemy from advancing. His gold is doomed. There are way too many towers hitting it. His stone is doomed. What would I do if I was Snonk? I would see where are my other goats. For example, he has a goat here. Let me clear the fog. And he has a goat here on the other side. And what I would do is, I would just send like 2 villagers to the mining camp instead of investing in the stable or the archer range. If I spotted, okay? If I had already invested into my military building, I would just try to use my few units to counter-attack. I wouldn't try to snipe those villagers that are under the tower, but instead I would try to send villagers to my enemy's economy and try to hit them. More experienced trushers will actually invest here into a few palisades, on their berries, on their wood, on their mining camp, and thus they're gonna be safe here versus enemy ratings. But less experienced players are just gonna have a lot of openings which you can exploit with your army. So if you already invested into like men-at-arms or scouts, don't worry. Use those guys to counterattack while you defend at your home. And what are the tools that I think that a player should be using to defend from a Trush? Towers of his own, and repairers. Yes, you should repair. For example, Teuton's trying to move here to the top side. If I were Snonk, what would I do? I would have at least 5 villagers ready here to wall behind and make a tower. I would go here, make one house, make another house, and if the Teuton insisted in attacking this wall, I would place a tower behind. I would place a tower in such manner that I could keep a villager behind of my tower repairing this tower, and doesn't matter how strong the Tilton tower would be, he would just keep shooting, 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 and I would be repairing. So the Tilton would have to make a big move if he wanted to advance, but not walling or reinforcing the walls and not waiting for the Tilton with either a skirmisher army or towers, skirmisher and archer army, okay, would just leave him freely to go and make towers. And this is honestly a checkmate if you think about tower rushes. You are getting out of stone. The Tilton is controlling your 2 towers. You should always prioritize making one of your stone safes. Later, you can think about the gold. In some cases, you can even go for the extra gold. It's not like the Tilton has army to punish you. So you can even use the market to click up, because I'm just saying that you should be investing on your own economy and defending using less vills. So if you defend using less villagers, you are always going to be ahead of the Trusher. I like what Puchito is doing here. He's doing multiple towers. This tower denies the stone, this tower denies the gold, but on the back on his base, he is investing. He is adding more villagers, he is adding more towers. Take a look on this exactly moment on what's happening. Snonk, our Lithuanian player here, is suffering a lot, and he's not focusing on making villagers. Instead, he tried to sacrifice his own economy and go for the scouts, which I already explained why they are not a good idea, because they're probably gonna go after the villagers. This guy can place the villagers on the towers, and yeah, that's not gonna work. But the biggest problem here is the TC idle time. Because Snonk is not producing villagers, he actually has more than 4 minutes of idle time. This means that this guy is probably more than 8 views behind due his own idle time. So if you focus on the basics, which is constantly producing villagers, keeping 6 villagers on the food so that you can keep a constant villager production, this would probably be a lot better. He's just sacrificing his own economy, trying to make scouts to stop the enemy from advancing, but the problem is the enemy will run towards the towers. If instead he had an army of skirmishers, it would just be a matter of, oh, I'm gonna sit my 8 skirmishers here on stand ground. If these guys try to make a tower, I go there, try to kill the view, I go back. And since I have skirmishers, I can handle a few shots from the enemy tower. I have a big shield on my units, a big wooden shield. So that's one of the things that can happen. The other problem of trying to defend scouts with melee units such as the scouts is that, of course, the Tilton can add the barracks and start adding spearmen. With a small amount of spearmen, let's say 3-4 spearmen, you can actually defend versus a way larger group of scouts. So I don't think that 8 scouts would succeed in trying to get a fight against a guy that was making a tower with like 3 or 4 spearmen behind it. So yeah, the enemy just needs to invest way less in order to achieve that. That wouldn't be possible with the skirmishers. Skirmishers always wins on numbers. So even if the Tilton tried to produce skirmishers, as long as you had like 10 versus 4 skirmishers or anything like that, you would be in a great spot. But the biggest thing that is actually killing our friends Nonk here is not having a clear goal or a clear idea of, oh, what I should do here. Man, you should vault and you should drop defensive towers. Deny the Tilton to keep going and making the circle around your base. If you do that, you are going to successfully defend from the Trush. But in this way, right now, Tilton was having the time of his life here. Snonk was not making defensive towers, it was just a matter of advancing and making new towers. Whenever he starts to make a new tower, it doesn't matter if you try to fight with villagers or whatever. If everything goes wrong, he will just go back to the other tower. He picks a good fight, he kills the spearman, he denies the tower, and what the Tilton does, he just goes back to the tower and he sends new villagers. This should actually be a good defense here by Snonk with a small detail, if he was still producing villagers. Both he and Pachito are having a lot of TC idle time, and this is the key indicator that you should be going against, the inefficiency of your town center, your most important building. So as long as he's not producing villagers, it doesn't matter. He should be killing 1 villager every 25 seconds to make up for it. And that doesn't seem to be the case. And now the enemy keeps advancing with towers and denying all of his investment. And this is why you want to wall and you want to drop a tower, so that you have a safe space where you can build your economy. He's not having the safe space, now he's trying to buy towers here. Look at that, he made a market, he's trying to buy towers. This is a good tower. Once he drops this tower, the Teuton will stop his advancing here. The Teuton will have to go and try to make a tower that surpasses under the range of this tower, and that can actually cost several views, or he'll have to try and go around for a bigger way here. So this will be very difficult. That's a good move. Making a tower here that will keep this wood line, this gold, the other wood line, everything safe is good. The biggest problem here is he's not producing villagers, he's not keeping a minimum of 6 villagers collecting food non-stop, and this will just leave the Teuton with a very solid economy. Teuton here will be able to keep producing farms, keep increasing his economy, and eventually reach Castle Age, where he can play with knights, he can play with siege, he can use even a castle drop, considering that he has a very forward position. So several big plays are now a good idea here for the Teuton guy. So yeah, the counterattack is not working so well. And there comes the Teuton, and here comes the thing, guys. You need to be collecting stone. You cannot just add a tower and expect it to work, because right here, for example, the Teuton is starting to shoot the tower. What would be a good play, a good defensive play? It would be to pick 2 villagers and place them behind the tower, outside of the enemy range, and start repairing. Stark, what if the Teuton tower can reach my repairers? Then you actually go, and your big play is adding a tower behind your tower that is outside of the repairing range from the Teuton, so that you can repair the tower without doing this. This have to be a continuous repairing job. Just sending like a lot of views to repair and make your tower safe is not a good idea. You are just idling too many views. What you need here is 2 villagers collecting stone and 2 villagers repairing. How many villagers inside, Stark? None. You don't even need to idle your villagers. The goal here is not to kill the Teuton tower, is to stop his advance. So if this guy has like 8 views inside of his tower, while you only have 4 villagers, 2 collecting stone and 2 repairing, this means that you are just idling the Teuton villagers. He's not gonna advance, and you are going to have 4 more villagers working. So this is the concept, and this is the key on defending the tower Trush. You let the Teuton waste his resources and waste his villagers while not facing and not going around your base. So what this guy is doing here with this tower, it should have been done out there on this spot. This tower should have been placed here to stop the Teuton advance since the beginning. If he did that, he would have all this area to work with his economy, and the Teuton wouldn't be able to do anything. There's another play, which I honestly find very risky, which is sending villagers to take down the tower. The problem is, that's exactly what the Teuton wants to, because by doing that, the Teuton can kill several of your villagers, and then the leverage that you have is going down the drain. And this is exactly what's happening. Teuton right now has more than 10 villagers. He's even investing into more feudal age army. That's very uncommon. Usually Teuton players just try to play towers and go towards the next age. But since the feudal age aggression is working so well, Puchito has decided to keep playing during the feudal age. Honestly, very interesting adaptation given or considering the game situation. I don't think this was his plan all along. Hey, around 25 minutes I will start making scouts. Nah. I think that's a true adaptation here, so that's good. You need to adapt, you need to adjust yourself to the situation. There comes Nonk, killing a tower, is stopping the aggression for a while. The problem is that cost him some view, that cost him some work time, because these villagers, instead of working, were there on their demolition job, and he isn't repairing the tower or defending in the way that I was explaining. So eventually this tower will go down. To be honest, if the Teuton want, he could just get all of his views and send them here to kill the tower. Even trying to repair, I don't think that this would be possible. And then finally Snonk's calls for the GG. So yeah, my friend, no, you were not defending correctly against the tower rush. You were not using the wall and tower technique. You were not using the repairers, and you were not attending yourself here to the basics, which was basically keep producing villagers and just create a safe space for your economy. The units here, it doesn't matter. you are going to adapt and adjust your game plan towards the various game situations. At some point, you might spot the Teuton and try to stop him with a view fight. On some other times, you are just going to spot his first tower by the time you already upgraded, for example, your men at arms, or that you already made a military building, such as a stable, such as an archer range. In those situations, you just adapt your gameplay. But this concept of having a defensive tower that you repair with 2 views while collecting stone is the key, because you can use this concept together with palisades to deny the Teuton from advancing. So with a minimum advancing, sometimes a single tower, you can actually do that. Of course, collecting stone is good, but you don't want to take down the towers from the Teuton. That's not your biggest concern. You just want to buy time so that your eco does the job for you. If with a better eco, you go towards the castle age. Once in castle age, well, there are many weapons you can use. You can counterattack the Teuton using cave archers, knights, crossbowmen, whatever you want. You can add siege like battering run or mangonels to start taking down the Teuton towers. You can, for example, try to drop a castle if there's a strategical position that will take down several towers. Imagine a castle being dropped right here, for example. It would actually range like 4 towers and get back all that area. So you usually try to do this castle play when you have to recover, for example, a gold mine or a very important resource. So there were many options here to defend versus the Teuton Trush. Hope you guys enjoyed this analysis. Hope you guys learned something here about both Trush and defending Trush. And this was me, Stark, on the Stark's Age of Empires YouTube channel. If you like this game, subscribe to the channel and follow me more for builds, analysis, and everything AoE2 related. See you guys.